Hi again, Sunday morning. We will continue with Math 10 practice. Again, Math 10 is so important for grade 11 and 12, not only in math, but in sciences as well. So chemistry, physics, your child or you as a student, you really have to understand this stuff really well. So here you go. It's a exam final practice for some of you who are done the course already and want to review or getting ready for a final. Also, if you're taking the course and you might not even got into this part of the course, but you might be able to follow and get a head start on this stuff anyways. So question 27, they want you to do this. Now, always have a strategy of how to do things, because you could do this in so many ways. But there's one way that makes it a lot easier. And the way that makes it a lot easier, you have three things that you're multiplying. If you multiply these two first, it'll make your life a lot easier. So x times x is x squared. And then 10x times y is plus xy. And then negative y times x is negative xy. That will cancel. And then you'll get negative y squared, because this is the difference of squares. So if you FOIL it, the middle will always cancel, because you have the same thing here, the same thing there. When you FOIL, when this is the case, you could just FOIL this with this, and then this with this, and that's your answer for that. And you put this in brackets, and then you're multiplying by 2x minus 3y. Now you don't have that option, two different things, so you really have to FOIL. And you gotta go this times this, and then this times this, this times this, and then this times this. Now let's go through it. X squared times 2x is 2x cubed. X squared times negative 3y is negative 3x squared y, minus y squared times 2x is negative 2xy squared. And then negative y squared times negative 3y is plus 3y cubed. Collect like terms. You don't have any like terms here. This is xy squared and this is x squared y. They're not like terms. So this is your final answer. Now, how about 28? Find the area of the shaded region. So to find the area of the shaded region, you want to do the area of the big rectangle, or actually that's a square, because this equals this, and since it's 90 degrees, it's a square. But anyways, so it's the area of the big minus the area of the small, which equals, so this is the big thing right there, and this is the small square right there. So the area of the big square, you got to find out what the dimensions are. So the length of this right here is basically you add, because here they give you from here to there and then from here to there. So to find the length of the whole thing, add these. So c plus c is 2c. And then d plus 2d is plus 3d. Now, the area of the big, so I'm just going to do the area of the big square, equals 2c plus 3d. So just multiply 2c plus 3d by itself, since it's a square. And that will give you 4c squared plus 6cd plus 6cd again, plus 9d squared. Collect like terms. So this is 4c squared plus 12c plus 9d squared. Now, how about the area of the small square? Equals just c plus d, because that's the length, c plus 2d, sorry, here. So you multiply it by itself since it's a square, so times c plus 2d. And here we'll get c squared plus 2cd plus 2cd plus 4d squared. Collect like terms. C squared plus 4cd plus 4d squared. Now, if you want to know the area, you just go here now and take the area of the big, which is 4c squared plus 12cd plus 9d squared. Take away the small of the area, the area of the small one, so it's minus c squared minus 4cd plus 4d squared. Now, this will equal, rewrite this as 4c squared plus 12cd plus 9d squared minus c squared minus, that's going to be plus because the sign changer, 4cd, and then negative times positive is minus 4d squared. And now just collect like terms, you know, this is the same as this the same as this, and this here is the same as this. So I'm just going to write the answer right there. 4c squared minus c squared, just 3c squared. 12cd plus 4cd is just 16cd. And then 9d squared minus 4d squared is just plus 5d squared, and that's the area of the shaded region. So the area of the shaded region equals this, and therefore this is your final answer right there. Okay, next question. So here's so here's a question where they ask you to factor completely. So when you're factoring, the first thing we learn in factoring is the greatest common factor. So the greatest common factor, you look at the numbers and see the greatest number that goes into both of them. And here I could see right away, 2 goes into all of them. And then between the x squared and the x cubed, the greatest common factor will be the x squared, because this, the x with the lowest, the lower exponent. So here's x squared. And then here you have y and y squared. This is with the lower exponent one is the y. So you take that out and you open the brackets like this. To find out what you write in here, you take this here divided by this. So 6 divided by 2 is 3. X cubed divided by x squared is x. Y divided by y is gone. Minus 10 divided by 2 is 5. X squared divided by x squared is gone. Y squared divided by y gives you y. And that's the answer for that one. Simplify, you have 2 things multiplied here. So all you need to do is just multiply the 3 and the 5, you get 15. And then x squared times x cubed, you just add the exponent, so that gives you x to the 5. And then y times y squared, you just add the exponents. Remember, y has a 1 on top of it here, so that gives you y cubed. And that's it for that. So here's the next question, factoring a trinomial. So when you're factoring a trinomial, your approach should be looking for 2 numbers that multiply to, always the constant at the end. So multiplies to give you negative 12, and add to give you positive 4. It's always the coefficient of x. So the 2 numbers that multiply to give you negative 12 and 4, it's definitely 6 and negative 2, because 6 times negative 2 gives you negative 12, and when you add them, they give you 4. So simply just put 2 set of brackets, put an x in each one, and then these 2 numbers here, which is the plus 6 and minus 2. The next one, you have a leading coefficient right here that you cannot factor out. So the method I use, every teacher uses a different method. So you multiply the 2 and 15. So what multiplies to give you 30, because 2 times 15 is 30, and adds to give you negative 13. The 2 numbers that would do that for you, since they multiply to give you a positive number and add to give you a negative number, both of them have to be negative. So it's negative 10 and negative 3. Negative 10 times negative 3 gives you positive 30. When you add them, you get negative 13. So what you do, you put x minus 10, almost similar to what you do here at the beginning. But now, because there's a leading coefficient, that's a 2 here, this 2, you have to divide both these numbers by it. And then this will give you x minus 5, because 10 divided by 2 gives you 5. But this doesn't divide. So just what you do, take the 2, put it in front of the x there, and you still have the minus 3 there. And that's how you do this. That's the way I do it, and some students like learning it that way because it's a bit faster than using decomposition. Some teachers will show you decomposition, but anyways, this is the way I do it, and I will leave it there. So here is one. This one here, lots of students, when they look at this, they think they have to expand this and then expand this. But if you know how to factor the difference of squares, and I'll give you an example on the difference of squares. So if you have m squared minus 25, we taught you that because this is the difference of squares, and the definition of the difference of squares is basically this has to be a perfect square and this has to be a perfect square, between them a minus. That's why it's the difference of squares. This will give you m minus 5 and m plus 5. Okay. Now look at these as this is your m and this is your 5 kind of thing. So what we usually do, we take the square root of m and we put m here and m there, and we take the square root of this and we put the 5 there and the 5 there. You could do the same thing here. You could say this is the difference of squares because you have two terms. This is 1, this is 2, both of them are perfect squares, between them a minus. You make one of them minus and you make one of them plus. And the square root of this, the square root always cancels the square. So you could just get rid of the square and you'll have 5x minus 6 here, and you write that on both sides right here. And then the square root of 4x minus 3 is squared. Just again, if you square root it, you just cancel the square. So you put 4x minus 3 there, and you put 4x minus 3 there. Same thing as here, except it looks a little bit more complicated, but that's all to it. You're square rooting this, put it here and there. You're square rooting this, put it here and there. Now you might ask me, why did I put brackets here and I didn't put brackets around here? When it's a plus here, it doesn't change anything in here, but when it's negative, it's a sign changer. So what will happen with this one here, you'll get 5x minus 6 minus 4x plus 3, because the negative sign will make that plus. But here nothing changes, so I might as well just add like terms. So 11x minus 6 minus 3 is minus 9, so that's right there. And here also you have to simplify this. 5x minus 4x, you get x, and negative 6 plus 3 will just get negative 3, and then the 11x minus 9, and this is how you factor this. This is finished. Next one is 35, and this is the last one I'll do for today for the Math 10 final practice. Find the slope. The slope is m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So what you do here, you come to any of these points, let's say here, and you make this x1, y1, and you make this x2, y2, and then you just plug in your formula right here. So make sure you don't mix them up where you say x1, y2. No, x1, y1, x2, y2. So negative 3, the y2 minus negative 3 in there as well, all over x2, which is negative 4, minus x1, which is 2. Now what I get here, negative 3 minus negative 3, that's going to be negative 3 plus 3, which gives me 0. 0 over negative 6. 0 divided by anything gives you 0. So the slope here is 0. That means it's not rising. Till next time, I hope this is helping you. And if it is, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and share with others so they could benefit. Okay, success in learning, success in life, work hard, especially this year. Again, it's an exceptional year where, we're faced with a pandemic, and most of us were not doing school as we used to. It's done in a very short time. And every student, I advise you, go out of your way to enrich yourself by watching some videos and doing extra work so you'll be prepared for next year. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.